Hello, Keith Rucker at VintageMachinery.org. Going to put together another odds and ends video for you guys this week. Got some viewer mail that's come in, got a few little small purchases that we've made, and just a couple little updates on a couple little things I want to share with you guys. So with that, let's get into some viewer mail, see what all's come in last week or two. So to start with, got an email about a week or so ago from a friend of mine, Dan Warner. Dan lives up in Tell City, Indiana. I've actually had a chance to visit up there with Dan on several occasions, him and his brother Neil both. They are pretty big into all kinds of old vintage machinery of various kinds. Neil has a machine shop and fabrication shop that he runs that is just full of really cool old machinery, old school stuff. And Dan is actually more in the woodworking side and has got a pile of old woodworking equipment. And they actually have a company, Wamco LLC, that the two brothers started together, and they do all kinds of work up in that area related to both metalworking, machinery restoration, as well as using their old machinery for various things. Anyway, Dan asked me about surface grinder wheels. He'd recently come across a good many and wanted to see if he could help me get some for my landed surface grinder that we're about to be getting back up and going. And he was, I think, assuming that it took a standard wheel kind of like this. So this is a 1.25 inch hub or about diameter hole on the inside. I think this one's a 7-inch diameter, and was that probably a 1/2 inch thick or so. Yeah, that's what it says on the label. But that's your typical surface grinder wheel. Well, the Landis takes a wheel like this. So this is, I think it'll take a wheel up to 10 inches in diameter, or maybe 12, I'm not sure. Let's see, the paper label came off of that side. It's here. But anyway, it'll take a 10 or 12 inch diameter wheel, but the big thing is it needs to have a 3-inch hole on the inside. I think it'll take a wheel up to 1 inch wide, although most of them are probably 3/4 of an inch. When I got the machine, it had one wheel on it, and I've been looking for a few others. He went through his stash and he found a couple that doesn't fit anything that he has, but he was glad to send them along to me. So anyway, this will help me get started with a few more wheels for the surface grinder, and I'm going to be on the lookout for some more wheels that will fit that. It is a little bit of a oddball size, at least compared to what most surface grinders take, these little wimpy wheels here. Yeah. Anyway, in addition to the surface grinder wheels, he also sent along this little circular wheel here. This would be go on like a tool post grinder, something like that, which I do have a tool post grinder for my lathe. So he had that he threw in, as well as there's a couple of miscellaneous parts here. See, he says that these are 3-piece support for tool and cutter grinding. I'm gonna have to do a little research to find out exactly how all this stuff works, but anyway, he sent those along, thought I might be able to use them. But one neat thing is he said when he was packing the box up, he had a bunch of extra space in the box, and he was about to go look for some styrofoam or something to cram the box full with, and he said, you know what? He's noticed that all of my cribbing that I've been using is just cheap pine 2x4, so he sent along some good walnut cribbing for my machines to pile up on. He said if I wanted to, I could use this for something besides cribbing, but you know, he just really hated to see me using lowly pine for cribbing my machines up on. And he also sent along, this is pretty cool, it's actually a piece of, I hate to call it plywood because it's solid wood in here, but it has a really nice veneer on the front. He said this is an elm burr veneer that's on here, and I said there's a little story about that. Let me see if I can find it in the letter here. He says the elm burr was something that came out of Swiss plywood when they shut down. It would have been used in the music rest for an organ. You can use it for cribbing or crating, etc. And the smiley face there. Anyway, that's really cool. That's some beautiful, beautiful wood. And I have no idea what we'll use that for, but one day that right there will become a showpiece on something. And he also sent along one of his Wamco LLC stickers. I'll have to get this and put it up on my sticker board. So Dan and Neil, thank you both. Looking forward to seeing you again real soon. We usually are together up at the Iron Fest event that we have each year. Dan and Neil are regulars there, as am I, so be looking forward to seeing you there. And I've got a couple things I'm going to be sending you as well, so thanks a lot. The next item I got here comes to us from Keith Hull, who lives up in St. Joseph, Missouri, and he sent along a nice little in-the-box Mitutoyo. This is a little angle protractor, I guess you would call it. Let me zoom you in here and kind of show you this. So what this is basically a little angle protractor, and this is very useful for measuring angles of all kinds. I've got a very similar to one to this made by Brown & Sharp that's out at the museum, but as I've mentioned in some previous videos, I'm really trying to get duplicates of a lot of my tools so that I can have tools here at my shop at home as well as still keep a set of tools out at the museum to be able to do work when I'm out there. So this is going to come in real handy. This one will probably stay at home since the other one's already out of the museum. But what you use this for is for measuring angles on things. So if I got something that I'm trying to work with or I'm setting something up, usually I use this when I'm measuring something existing. So for example, let's say we had a knife edge, a blade on a knife, and you wanted to measure your angle. You could actually lay your blade in here and come in here and get that angle where it fits right on there and then read your angle. This is real nice. It's got a little magnifier above it to help you read that number for people with eyes that are getting old like mine. It goes all the way around. Basically it will measure in 360 degrees. So nice little tool, very nicely made. This one is pretty darn impressive actually, and I'm excited to have this one to put in my collection. Mitutoyo angle finder. I don't see a number or anything on it. I'm not sure how Mitutoyo numbers their products, but anyway, very nice little tool. And again, it came in a plastic case here to keep it all nice and protected. And has a little, I guess that's a little bar to go on here to, I'm not exactly sure what you'd use that for, probably clamping it onto another piece of bar or something like that. Anyway, very nice set. Thank you, Keith, for sharing that with me. As long as we got you zoomed in here, I'll show you this next piece. And this comes to me from Robert Johnson up in Grants Pass, Oregon. And Robert contacted me a week or so ago asking me if I'd like to have a copy of this book, Machine Tool Reconditioning. So for you guys that may not be familiar with this is the some people call it the Bible for reconditioning machine tools and talking about scraping and procedures. It was written by Edward F. Connley, published in 1955. I believe this is a modern reprint of that book. You can still order these. They're about $100 a piece if you go buy a new one. In fact, I know Richard King even sells them. But it's a really good reference that basically just goes through every little thing you would ever want to know about rebuilding a machine, doing scraping, what have you, reconditioning machine tools. In fact, I had borrowed a copy of this book from someone and I was reading a lot of it, and that is what really inspired me to get up with Richard King to take his scraping class, because even though I could read about it, it's one of those things that when it comes to the art of scraping, you really need to have someone who knows what they're doing, show you the process. But anyway, this would be a very nice book to have out here in my collection as a reference, and I'm really looking forward to delving into this, particularly now that I've taken the scraping class and can, understand what's going on a lot of this stuff a little bit better. I need to go refresh myself, and now I have my own copy to do that with, thanks to Robert. So Robert, thank you very much for sending this. He said he had it. I don't know how he came across it. I can't remember what he told me or if he told me, but he basically said he was never going to use it and would like for me to have it. So thank you, Robert, very much. Very much appreciated. So these next couple of items is actually a recent purchase that I made, and I was on the road traveling this last week. I was down in North Florida, kind of going down I-75 towards Gainesville. And I had a couple hours to kill. I had a lunch meeting that day, and then I had another meeting for supper. I'd already done my lunch meeting, and I had about 4 hours to kill in between. So I was checking out a lot of the natural springs down there in that part of the state along the Suwannee River and Santa Fe River and so forth, and really enjoying myself. And I came across a little antique store I've actually visited before, and I remember there was a vendor in there that usually has some pretty good tools. So I said, well, I'm going to stop in there and just see what they got. So I went in, and sure enough, they had some nice tools in there, machinist tools, and I picked out a little selection of things here to bring home with me. So number one here, just a couple of pin punches. These are just straight punches, some larger sizes. Actually, I was needing a pin punch or drive punch about, I think this size right here. It'd be close to it when I was working on my milling machine the other day, when I was trying to drive that pin in there to hold it in place. I didn't really have I had a short one, but I didn't have a long one like this. And I saw these two punches sitting there, and I said, gotta have them. I think they were like $3 a piece or something. 12-inch scale made by General, graduated on both sides. One couple of bucks for it. I can't remember exactly. There was, let's see, a set of parallels here. These were probably shop made ground parallels. Didn't want too much for those either. And then in the stare-it box, what we have here is a nice set of trammel points. So trammel points, basically you can take these, and it has two sets of points. Some of these are just straight points. Then there's also a set in here that kind of have a little angle in them. But these are really nice for laying out stuff, measuring stuff. I've got a small set of trammel points that are also stare-it, but they're only, I think, about 4 inches long. Anyway, I saw this and nice in the box, nice good looking set. I ended up paying, I think, about 55 bucks for all of this when I walked out the door. So I was pretty excited about that. And, you know, you don't see these trammels like this very often. So anyway, I thought I better grab them while I could, and some of these other tools will come in handy around here as well. So up next here, we got a box of goodies that was sent in by Roger Armstrong, who lives up in Evansville, Indiana. And Roger sent along some tooling here for the lathe. So we got a nice CNMG type tool holder here. Also got a nice boring bar. He also sent along this one here. This one takes a square cutter, an SN type cutter. Anyway, that's one I don't have. Additionally, he sent along a bunch of miscellaneous inserts that he had. Some of these fit the holders here. Some of them fit other stuff, and a couple of end mills look like some regrinds. So anyway, we got a nice collection of miscellaneous tooling here, and mostly lathe stuff, a couple of mill pieces, but definitely things we can use. So I've got, looking at these inserts, these little ones here, I think I've actually got something that fits on. I'm not sure about these. These are square, I think, instead of rectangular or diamond shape. Those are just flat ones, and more of the flat square ones. I'm not sure if I have something to hold these or not. These inserts, I think those actually go on a milling cutter. I'm gonna have to do some look on those. But anyway, I know I got stuff that holds these trigons. Like I said, I know I got a holder that fits this size here, and I very well may have stuff for some of this other stuff as well. I'm just gonna have to dig around and see. So anyway, Roger, thank you very much for sending along. You know, I always use tooling, so this will go over there in my cabinet, and I'm sure that we'll have an opportunity to put this stuff to work at some time in the near future. Thanks a lot. So next, got a pretty neat, this is pretty awesome actually. This all comes from John Krupp, who lives up in Oxnard, California. And John contacted me a while ago, and he said he's got a bunch of old hand planes, and he wanted to send them to me because he knew I liked hand planes. And yes, I do like hand planes. One of these days I need to do a couple of videos showing all my planes that I've collected over the years. I've got a pretty good selection of different hand planes, and I really enjoy using hand planes. But these are kind of cool because these are actually something that I don't really have many examples, or I think I may have one Stanley Transitional like this, and it's not even in that great a shape. But these tools here are just awesome. So what we got here, the four down here on the end are all Stanleys. These are early Stanley Tool Company planes. Probably the oldest one would be this one right here. This is what they would call a transitional plane. And basically it was when they were transitioning between an all wooden plane. The early hand planes were all made out of wood. And then they said, hey, we can start making these things out of metal. Eventually they went and the planes became all made out of metal. But in between, you know, they kind of had a metal top, but they were still using a wooden sole up underneath them. And this was what they called that transitional plane, because it kind of was the transition between the solid wood planes and the solid metal planes. This one here is what they call the Liberty Bell type plane, because in the part that holds the blade down, it actually has a Liberty Bell in there. These here are three also transitional planes. These are Bailey patents, so they're a little bit newer, and they actually have the patent for the lateral adjustment of the blade. So basically you could cause that blade to kind of rock side to side, so you can get it flat across the bottom. And that's what this lever up in the top does. And this Bailey patent actually went on to go into all the Stanley's hand planes, solid metal planes that they made later on. But anyway, nice selection of real early Stanley transitional planes. They're all in excellent shape. A lot of times the wood on the bottom of these planes will just be roached out, or the opening here where the blade comes out will just be enlarged. These are all actually in pretty good shape. You know, they're not pristine examples that a collector would just go gaga over, but these are all definitely planes that could be made and actually used. And it's kind of hard to find a good user transitional plane. So anyway, pretty excited there. There's also these two down here on the end, and I don't know the story on these. Well, this one here looks like what they call a round plane, or they had hollows and rounds. This is a real wide radius plane here. Could have also maybe been a scrub plane that they use for doing roughing work. In fact, that may be what this actually is. It's a scrub plane. So when they would go from rough cut lumber, they would take this and kind of scrub it off and kind of leave a scallop surface on there, and then they would go with a smoothing plane and actually make it totally flat. A lot of times in old buildings and stuff, when you look at that plane surface, they would only use the scrub plane, and it has kind of a scalloped look to it. Anyway, I think that's a scrub plane. This one here, I don't see any maker marks or names on it, but it's got a really interesting lever adjustment there. So I don't know, somebody out there may recognize this one and might be able to tell me more about it. I really don't know. But anyway, nice selection of hand planes. He said he actually has a few more. He's going to send me another package down the road, so I'll be looking forward to that as well. But anyway, John, thanks a lot. These will definitely get into when I get my woodworking side of my shop all finished up, and I want to build me a nice tool cabinet to put all of my hand tools in, and these will all find a home in there if I can ever get far enough along to get over on that side and get some of my woodworking stuff going on as well. So thanks, John. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else you might send me down the road. Thought I'd give you guys a little sneak peek as to a project we're going to be working on here very soon here in the shop. I know some of you guys have been kind of giving me a hard time the last couple of months. I've been working on the shop trying to get things where I can work down here, and said, man, we really miss your machining content. Well, I've got multiple projects, and now that I've got some machine tools I can work with again, and really kind of got the shop far enough along to start working, we're going to start getting on some of those. So I'll be having more machining content coming to you guys real soon. But what you're seeing here, this is actually the cross slide lead screw or whatever, screw for a cross slide on an old lathe. And forgive me, I can't remember. I think it's a Reed lathe made about 1900 something. But a viewer out in Texas contacted me a while back. When he took it apart, the nut here that goes up into the cross slide, was all busted up. This is a square thread. It's not an Acme thread, but it's a true square thread, which were used a lot on the real old machines. And anyway, he couldn't get a part. He couldn't find a local shop to make him anything. He said, hey, can you help me out? I said, that looks like a fun little project. So anyway, we're going to be working on this real soon. In fact, I've started kind of getting my materials up, and I'm hopefully going to start on this coming week. But my plan of attack is we're going to, of course, make a new nut here. I'm going to probably make one out of bronze. I think this one's cast iron. I've got a piece of bronze stock, and a lot of these were made out of bronze, and I think I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to actually remake this screw. There's a lot of wear, particularly down on this end, and quite honestly, getting well, I'll just tell you, I found a tap. This is a left hand, it's roughly half-inch left-hand square threads, and I actually found a tap that I can tap this with rather than having the single point it. So I'm gonna really need to make a new screw that really fits this right here. So, and plus, like I said, there is a considerable wear, particularly down here on this bottom end, and I think it'll be better just to go ahead and make a new screw. So we're going to be making a new square-shouldered screw to go on here, as well as a new nut, and that's going to be coming up very soon, hopefully. I've had this for a little while, and with my shop moving and so forth, this project has drug on a little bit longer than what I was anticipating, so I need to get this out the door. But anyway, I thought I'd give you guys just a little sneak peek as to this project we'll be working on soon. And as far as shop updates go, I'm still just kind of getting my storage back here kind of squared away. I have brought a lot of my smaller tools, my metrology stuff, layouts, et cetera, from various places that I've had stuff stashed. I've actually brought a lot of stuff in from the museum home. I've got a bunch of my stuff from my old shop moved down here that I had at the house, mostly just stuff stacked up in there. And very soon I'm going to be going through all this stuff and kind of organizing it, inventorying it, getting an idea of what I've got duplicates of, what I can keep here at home, what I take out to the museum. I've got my wooden tool chest back here behind me that we'll be putting a lot of the smaller stuff into. I still need to get some storage cabinets to go up underneath these, my work bench here. Man, it's just, every time I turn around, I'm spending money out here, it seems like. And the other thing I'm kind of in the lookout for is some shelving units to come in here and put some shelving in. I'd really kind of like to find some, not necessarily big, like pallet rack type shelving, not real heavy duty shelving, or even real deep shelving. I'm looking more like, storeroom shelving, stuff that you can put a bunch of shelves fairly close together to stack boxes, bins, so forth like that on, to really kind of get some things organized. I got some places in here where I can put some shelving, and most of the shelving that you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or places like that, it's really not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that has more shelves in it and maybe doesn't take up quite as much space. So anyway, I'm kind of on the lookout for some of that kind of old shelving, particularly if I can find some old shelving somewhere that's well made that I can pick up for fairly cheap, because hey, what can I say? I'm cheap when it comes to that kind of stuff. But other than that, that's kind of what we're working on out here. Of course, we got our milling machines up and going now. I still need to get some leveling feet up underneath the Wells Index. It's just sitting up on some cribbing right now, waiting to get that done. And I'm gonna actually be making some leveling feet. That'll probably be a video coming down the road pretty soon. And then very quickly, we need to get this part that I showed you a minute ago, but after that, we're on to the surface grinder and try to get that going. Also, been doing some work on getting my phase converter in here. I've got all of that wired in now. I've got everything in here. Basically now I'm waiting to get the power company out here to bring in my 400 amp service. There I actually will have to shut the power off in the shop. I'll have to go in there and hook in the new panel and all that. I've already got all the wire ran. I'm just waiting on them to get out here and shut me down so that I can get the new meter base wired in to the new line that will feed the phase converter. Like I said, everything, all the phase converter, I've already got the three-phase panel installed. Everything over there is just waiting on the power company. So I'm hoping maybe one day this week we can get them out here, and they'll probably have to come in and take me offline one day, let me work on stuff while it's not hot, and then they'll come in and trench in a new cable and hook me back up. So hopefully I won't be without power very long. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at on shop updates. Things are moving along, and just trying to continue to get things where I can work in here, get all my tools and equipment where I can find what I'm looking for when I'm looking for it. Yeah, right now, every time I need something, it's like I know it. I saw it, a week ago. It's down here in a pile somewhere, trying to get organized, and that's taking some time as well. But with that, that'll be a wrap on this video. Appreciate very much everybody watching. As always, appreciate all my many subscribers out there. We're hovering right around 90,000 subscribers as I'm filming this. So we're getting really close to that 100,000 subscriber mark, which I'm, that's kind of my next goal, I guess. And if I continue adding subscribers at the rate I've been adding, probably sometime this summer, we'll probably hit that 100,000 mark. And I don't know, we may have to throw a little party or something when that day comes along. But anyway, thank each and every one of my subscribers out there. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate my interaction with you. I appreciate you taking your busy time and watching my videos. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. In fact, I probably need to do a video because I hear from people all the time, well, I don't get an email anymore. I don't get a notification when you post a new video. There's actually a setting in YouTube that you can do that, and I probably need to just do a quick video to show you how to turn that on, because I hear from people all the time that they want that feature, but they don't know how to do it. So that might be something I do just so you can see when new videos are put out. And that works on my channel as well as any other channel that you're interested in watching. But anyway, thanks to all you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Leave me some comments. And with that, we'll see you next time. Thanks.